Alright, in this episode we're going to talk about Fortnite, specifically what's happening with UEFN, the Unreal editor for Fortnite. Now, we've been talking about this for quite a while on the show, but it's recently really started to pick up pace, and I personally believe that this is a massive opportunity for individual creators, brands, and businesses, so it's worth keeping up to date with what is going on. Now, I'm going to run through 5 of the most interesting builds that are live on Fortnite and why I think they are cleverly made. The best experience of this episode will be on YouTube, but if you're listening, I'll make sure I explain it all, of course. Before we do that, though, let's just back up a little bit and get everybody up to speed on Fortnite and what UEFN is specifically. So, Fortnite, as you probably know, is an absolute titan at this point. They have roughly 240 million players per month and turn over a revenue of around $6 billion per year, primarily from in-game purchases. Now, what most people know Fortnite to be is a battle royale game. You're dropped on an island with 100 others, and you have to gather weapons and resources to survive in the end, a mode which is still massively popular. In 2018, we saw Fortnite Creative Mode released, where users could create their own maps and styles of games using assets that Fortnite provided. And this has also been massively popular, and lots of different types of games have been made far beyond the Battle Royale concept. There are now death runs, mazes, parkour maps, racing games, and many more. Great as these creations were, they were generally quite limited and often looked visually similar, as people could only use the assets that Fortnite provided. However, the biggest change came in March this year with the release of UEFN. So UEFN, or the Unreal editor for Fortnite, is a separate free program that lets you build almost anything you can imagine and then publish it to the Fortnite platform for it to appear next to the main Battle Royale mode and other maps. Now, people are no longer just limited to Fortnite assets, but can bring in any 3D assets to make any world they can imagine within the safety guidelines of Fortnite itself. Crucially, they also updated how creators using UEFN can be paid. Fortnite, or rather Epic Games, the publishers behind it, are now allocating 40% of their entire net revenue from all the activity on the Fortnite platform and essentially placing it in a pot to be divided between creators publishing maps on UEFN, and that total pot is in the billions of dollars. Now, in April, Epic Games published the creator earnings, which had various different payout tiers so far. So 2,000 creators are on track to make $100 this year, right through to 5 creators who are on track to make $10 million plus this year alone. Wild. I also saw a stat that claims the top 25 games will make in the region of $3 to $10 million this year. How that pot of money is specifically allocated is still being worked out, but the general consensus is that it's based on engagement and, crucially, retention of players in your game, not dissimilar to how total watch time is important on a YouTube channel. So if you get your game right, there is plenty to play for. In the bigger picture, I think it's very clear that Fortnite is becoming an entire distribution platform, the kind of YouTube of game publishing, if you like. And gaming, as we know, is the biggest entertainment category in the world. We've also seen the likes of A16Z, the major VC firm, post about the opportunity of UEFN and how they are actively looking to back teams participating in this movement. So the next question becomes, how do you create a game that gets found and also retains players and keeps them coming back? Which leads us nicely onto the 5 UEFN builds that I think do this very cleverly and are all good case studies in their own right. I'll add the island codes of these below, which are the numbers you need to go and play these in Fortnite if you want to experience them for yourself. So in no particular order, the first one is YouTuber Tycoon. Now, if you ask any kid what they want to be when they're older, a lot of them will probably say a YouTuber of sorts. So this game is a very simple but very clever role-playing game. You're up against 3 other players in a race to become either the most famous or the most wealthy YouTuber, which is kind of crass but works in this scenario. You start in an empty house with a money counter on $0 and a machine that can create merch for you, which helps you slowly tick up the dollars being brought in over time. As you gradually earn more dollars, you can choose what you want to buy next to increase your earnings or your followers. So when you get to $100, for example, you can buy your first PC. And if you spend time on it in the game, you can increase your rate of subscribers to gain, say, 50 subscribers per second. The whole game is basically a mechanic of having to wait for money or followers to come in and then use what you've earned to upgrade your setup to in turn increase the speed of how you make money in a nearly endless loop until you have a swish new pad and a cool car and millions of subscribers. As all of this is taking place, there is a giant version of whichever player is currently making the most money or has gathered the most subscribers. You can go and visit your rivals' pads to try and slow them down by battling them, or you can just concentrate on building your own empire. What is genius about it is that it's tapping into a role-playing element of what nearly every kid wants to be, for better or for worse, with a feedback loop that makes you want to stay and constantly upgrade things, thereby getting great engagement stats on the map for the creator. We can talk about whether this is something you'd want your kid to play, but it's overall pretty harmless, and the mechanics work amazingly well. I found myself stuck on it for at least half an hour straight. Okay, number 2 is a map that's been very popular for a while and continues to get people back over and over again, called Only Up. This is a good example of not needing to have much 3D knowledge or game design experience to create something massively viral. Essentially, it's just a load of random 3D assets suspended in the air that you have to jump on to get up higher and higher and try and reach the summit. It's ludicrously frustrating as you get so far and then fall off and have to start all over again, but it has a great mechanic which means you want to try over and over again to get further and further. It's definitely playing the dopamine center in your brain, but it's hugely successful. They will be one of the maps making millions of dollars this year for sure. Number 3 is a map called Toon Wars, which I chose simply because the aesthetics of this map are incredible. It's a beautiful looking black and white cartoon world, which reminds me of the early Looney Tune type era. The game mechanics are simple. It's a 20-person player versus player arena, but all within this incredible living cartoon world. Kind of like if you were playing Fortnite inside the Family Guy world, for example. It's starting to get a lot of attention, mainly because of these cool aesthetics, so there are a lot of ways to approach this and be successful. Number 4 then is the 100 Thieves bank heist map. Now, if you're not aware, 100 Thieves are a very successful esports team who spotted this opportunity early and built a game which revolves around you being on either the heist team trying to get a package to the extraction zone or the law enforcement team trying to prevent that from happening. The mechanic itself is nothing hugely new, but it's really well built and runs in multiple rounds where you earn points and then swap sides each round. They've clearly thought about how to best keep users playing for an extended time, so it's another clever one to go and play. Number 5, I of course have to mention our build at Based AF, which is now fully live. So if you missed it, the team completely recreated the biggest tech YouTuber, Marques Brownlee, aka MKBHD, who has 15 million subscribers, his studio as a fully playable level and then sent it to him. You can watch his team's reactions to playing the whole map, which is ludicrously accurate to their real life studio and in really high fidelity as well. There's also a behind the scenes video if you're interested in how the idea came to be and how it was made, but I think it showcases another really cool use of UEFN, accurately recreating an environment that only a handful of people could ever visit in real life, but lots of people can now experience in a fun, gamified way through Fortnite. Distribution-wise, doing it for a YouTuber with a huge audience was also an interesting move, getting lots of eyeballs on a map from day one. So those are 5 that I chose, but the best way to kind of understand what is going on here is to download Fortnite, which is free, and go and play some of these builds, and you'll begin to understand what is keeping people playing and why this is such a big opportunity. I personally think this is a pretty rare moment, kind of like the beginning of YouTube days when not everybody's paying attention, but if you're there early, you may well be able to capitalize on something big that is happening. All the links and island codes are in the description if you want to jump into them to help bring it all to life. But otherwise, have a great week, and I will see you for next week's episode.